Hi, I'm Joanna Cassidy, and you're listening to You Might Know Her from with Damien and Ann.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of You Might Know Her From.
With Damien and Ann.
It is me, Damien. I'm over here recovering from Australia's Drag Race and Karen from Finance's terrible Dolly Parton impersonation.
It was so bad. Her accent. Look, if I was going to be on Snatch Game, I wouldn't do an Australian accent. You know what I mean? So, I know it, put another shrimp on the Barbie is, not my high point. So I wouldn't put that out into the world. So the fact that Karen from Finance thought that, her Dolly Parton was going to win her Snatch Game speaks to a delusional nature, I think.
Yeah, also she did an icon that she couldn't do that well. I don't know. I was like, she was confident in her not goodness.
I'm Ann, sitting over here with a glass of ice water. Welcome back to our show where we interview an actress each episode, and Damien and I shoot the shit with each other, best friends about our life, pop culture comings and goings, and our, old bodies and our melting brains and everything in between. We had a big week last week, and I just wanted our listeners to know that Damien and I were in the same room, just the two of us, plus our assistant, Ronette, for the very first time, just the two of us hanging out. And Damien made dinner, which was really lovely. And we weren't sure what we were going to watch. We have a laundry list of movies that we've never watched that we want to watch together, or things we want to revisit together. And of course, we ended up watching something that we've both seen about 73 times, and that's, of course, Grease 1. Damien got a new TV. It looked incredible. There were some never-before-seen things in Grease 1, thanks to the new pixels on the TV. It looked so good.
I know. Why didn't we write down the things we had never seen before? I feel like we should have made note of them.
We're going to have to go back and watch it again. But really, I was a bottle of wine in and then had a vodka soda at that point. So really, it was just a lot of screaming at the TV, which felt good. It felt cathartic. We hadn't done it in a very long time. And honestly, the last 2 times I saw Grease, it was with you. And that was probably over the course of the last 5 years. We saw it in the movie theater. Then we saw it once in my apartment in Astoria and got so blackout drunk. I think you maybe recorded the entire thing on your phone. We have a 2-hour video.
I remember that was the time we discovered that Alice Ghostley, great character actress, actually dances in Grease Lightning. I remember never noticing that until that time we watched it, then screaming.
Yeah, and trying to justify what the choice was to put Alice Ghostley in Grease Lightning. I love it. And we'd like to think that it's secret gay energy, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's totally that we think it's lesbian energy.
Okay, so in that vein, this is how it always happens. The movie ends, it's late. I had to go home at a certain point, but Grease 2 just sort of came on. So we started watching a little bit of Grease 2. We didn't finish it, but I hadn't thought, I've been singing the Grease 2 score all week, honestly. And then Hannah comes in 5 minutes before we record, and I was like, I have to think about what I'm going to say today. I don't know, what's happening in my brain. I'm coming out of work. I'm a little exhausted. And she was like, did you see the thing I sent you last night at 1 a.m? And I was like, no, I didn't see it. So I go to my Twitter. Weren't you guys in
bed together?
Yeah, she couldn't sleep. We're not going to discuss it. She couldn't sleep. I was irritated. I didn't look at my phone. I just closed my eyes and rolled over because she could not sleep. So she sent me this thing. I went to look at it. Did you know, Damien, that there is a penis reveal in Grease 2?
I just saw it because our friend of the pod, Jeremy, sent it to me this morning.
Okay, I just saw it 5 minutes before this, and I was like, how did we never know this? There is a true full penis reveal in the track running scene, and this guy clearly sees his dick come out, tries to tuck it back in, and then looks directly at the camera. It's chef's kiss.
Yeah, he pops his tinkle right back in.
So that was really pleasing. But more importantly than the penis reveal in Grease 2, what I realized last week is that I got so distracted watching Grease, hanging out, that I forgot to talk to you about the fact that I did something that we've talked about for a long time. I removed one of the blind spots from my viewing history, and that's, of course, Moonstruck, which I watched because we lost the great Olympia Dukakis, and we didn't even talk about it on the podcast last week. I broke down in tears because she means something to me. We tried Olympia Dukakis from day one. She's very important to both of us. And so when I heard that she had passed, it was heartbreaking, and I thought, let's watch Moonstruck tonight. And so I've never seen it. I know that's a problem. I only knew Snap Out of it. But I can't believe that nobody, including you, I know I ask for no spoilers, but I don't know how in all of my 37 years, no one ever told me that Nic Cage has a wooden hand in Moonstruck.
Were you into the gag?
Oh, I loved it. I just, like, the tone of the movie was so different than I thought it was. And it was, like, goofy. It was, like, a kooky movie. And I think I didn't know that that was the tone because I had tried to protect myself from it all these years until I actually sat down and watched it. And I cried, and it was beautiful. And Olympia Dukakis and John Mahoney in their scene is so together. She's just perfection. So anyway, I righted that wrong last week, and I just wanted to tell you that.
How do you feel about your girl Cher beating Glenn Close for the Oscar for that movie? So it was Moonstruck versus Fatal Attraction. Do you want to address it?
I think somebody asked me this week. I think if Glenn Close was going to win the Oscar for any of her 8 nominations, I think it probably should have been for Dangerous Liaisons.
Interesting.
Meaning I'm saying like Fatal Attraction is an epic, like her most famous role for sure. It doesn't surprise me that she didn't win for Fatal Attraction. It surprises me that she didn't win for Dangerous Liaisons. Like they were so proud of Cher for like playing working class. I guess she had already played working class in Silkwood. Do you have an opinion about it?
I think that like the peaks and valleys that Glenn's Alex goes through in Fatal Attraction are like more of an quote unquote Oscar performance, but also are like more interesting because it's like more skillfully done and also weird. Like it's not a color by numbers like sad hooker, supportive wife type of like Oscar trope. Like it's a weird, wacky character.
Right.
I think that Cher is good, but I think Cher was rewarded for like winning for being a movie star. It's sort of like it's like.
I agree with that. And I do love Cher, but here's the thing. I don't want to shit on the performance because it's so rare that somebody gets nominated and wins for like a comedy. And so I'm into that for Moonstruck.
But it's interesting as like Fatal Attraction is like a sexual thriller essentially, and that's also not a movie that's like typically like I feel like Diane Lane was nominated for Unfaithful, and I feel like that's the last one off the top of my head that I can think of that was like.
Are we considering like The Crying Game a sexual thriller?
Yeah, I guess so. A transphobic sexual thriller. Yeah,
exactly that.
But it did have a nice Oscar. We got a lot of nominations.
Yeah. I think Glenn doesn't care at this point. I think it's good for her. She's got 8 nominations. She's never won. She got a Razzie nomination this year, too. Good for her. I just love her so much.
Can I pose a question to you and to the listeners about Moonstruck? I don't want to be controversial. I know it's a lot of people's favorite movies, but I do take a little bit of issue with the movie. It's like so Italian. It's like all Italian. And I don't think that like Italian people are underrepresented. So I'm not trying to like make an issue out of nothing. But I do think it's interesting that like the 2 lead women are not played by Italian women. And I think
the Greek and Armenian, yeah?
Yes. And I think like the piece is centered around people being Italian American specifically. So I just want to pose that to you and to the listeners if you think that's a little bit odd. And if not, that's also okay. What did you think that didn't bother you at all?
I don't know. It didn't offend me, but it does seem strange at a certain point, but also I feel like doing an Italian accent was like such a part of a thing that people did in the 80s and 90s. You know what I mean? Like there were so many stupid gangster movies and like cartoon Italian people on TV that I feel like that was like in the zeitgeist of a type of humor is like playing an Italian guy, less so maybe an Italian girl. So I do think it's interesting because we have this conversation all the time about this. We've talked about it with like Italians. We've talked about it with Jewish people. We've talked about it. I think it's complicated, but also when something is so directly associated, like the whole film's premise is about that culture, it does feel a little weird to like not have the leads be that or to be playing at that.
At least one of them. Employ women. I'm not interested in 7 Italian American character actors that are male. Sorry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anywho, folks, we're all over the place today. Our energy is wild. But we are, so glad to be able to be doing things and hope that you are able to do those things as you start to feel safer and vaccinated, hopefully, etc. I feel rejuvenated. I watched Grease with my best friend, and we got to interview the great Joanna Cassidy, who we have been in hot pursuit of for a hot minute, and she was just, Anne, she was just fabuloso. She
was heaven. Also because, I hate that phrase that people use, like, what lives in your brain rent free? I don't use that. However, when someone's voice is embedded in your brain from your childhood, care of a movie, a film, a TV show. Joanna Cassidy has one of those voices, one of those laughs that is, dare I say, iconic. I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but Joanna told us she gets identified by her laugh. And to me, when I think of her, I hear that tremendous laugh that you get to see in so many great characters that she's played throughout the years. The point is, we were titillated to sit down and talk with the excellent, the fabulous Joanna Cassidy.
You might know her from 6 Feet Under,
Blade Runner,
Call Me Fitz,
Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Buffalo Bill,
Club Paradise,
and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. We are here with actress Joanna Cassidy. Joanna, thank you for being on You Might Know Her From. We are just over the moon to have you here.
Thank you. I'm going to get on the moon tonight because it's a full moon, so I may join you. And then I'll be over the moon too.
I'm into it. You starred as Margaret Chenowith on one of my favorite shows of all time, which is, of course, 6 Feet Under. I think this show is super significant because it really gave rise to TV anti-heroes, building this world of complex and at times very unlikable characters. And of course, Margaret is Brenda and Billy's psychologist mother who is introduced with this very dense backstory about the ways she and her husband subjected Brenda to controversial psych testing as a child. So my question is, how did you find the humanity in a character that could be as mean and manipulative as Margaret?
Well, in most narcissists, which is what Margaret was, there is no humanity. But I, like most of my characters, I always want to make a completely unlikable character likable, I think. And that's just to serve myself. That's my own ego. And I was willing to go all the way like they wanted. But at the same time, I infuse characters like that with humor. I think humor saves the day. And, understanding someone like that. I was married to a psychiatrist, so I was really familiar with that kind of treatment of humans, And I really love to play with people like that. I love to make them really snarky and awful. But then, wait a minute. You have to look around the corner at this person. Wait a second, she's funny. She's funny. And if you really take her all in, she's not as horrible as she comes across. But the wonderful thing about working with Rachel was that Rachel played it full out. Mm-hmm. This character, Margaret, could have been really ugly, played by really serious people. Actors that go after a role and don't fill it up with other things. But I didn't want to make her ugly. And I mean, get back to my own vanity again. I don't want any of my characters to be so ugly that you completely hate them.
Well, and it also, she's so, I think because you as an actor are charming and funny, she then is charming. So it's almost like you can understand how she gets away with certain behavior because there are endearing qualities to her, or she's, quick-witted or whatever.
It's who I am. What can I say? I'm not going there. I'm not going to do that. I want people to stick with me. So if you make someone so horrible, they're going to be completely, you'll check out, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Have you thought about other people playing that role? I have. I did.
Interesting. Okay, so the show, in my opinion, and I think is lauded for having one of the best series finales on television ever, all time. So without any spoilers for our listeners, and also for Anne, because she's been saving the last 8 episodes for herself for a rainy, sad
Just
day.
Just for a rainy day where I really need something quality to watch. I know I'll always have the last season.
There you go.
Do you think that it is the best series finale ever, of shows you've worked on, or just as a viewer?
Well, I do. I think that was the penultimate ending. But I think that endings are really important, and a lot of people let them slide away. you've seen series end and you go, oh, I'm a little let down from that. That didn't quite leave me with a heartache. And I think you need to have your heart broken. Then people go, oh my God, the series is over. What am I going to do? And they go, oh, I can't wait for the next thing that actor's in.
Okay, Joanna, one of your most recognizable roles is, of course, in the now classic 1982 Ridley Scott film Blade Runner, where you play Zhora, an exotic dancing, snake-handling replicant who's hunted by Harrison Ford. The movie ran over budget, which meant they had to cut Zhora's exotic dance sequence. So on the 30th anniversary of the movie, I'm obsessed with this, you recorded and released your own version of the snake dance on YouTube. What sort of came to you that inspired the need to sort of right that wrong from this classic film?
I don't know why I was so obsessed by the whole thing, except that I kind of am a perfectionist in life, but this particular movie just irked me so badly that I was there on the night that, well, first let's talk about Running Through the Glass, because I redid that as well.
So for our listeners, there's in the original cut, the stunt double's wig is sort of visible. And so can you explain this reshoot that they did where they digitized your head on the stunt double? Can you explain what happened there? It's wild.
When we were shooting the DVDs for the little box that the whole Blade Runner deal went into, there were 5 DVDs in this, the original and all the interviews with all the actors and producers and writers, etc. I kept saying to Charlie, who was doing it, please, if you're in contact with anybody from the movie, we have to reshoot Going Through the Glass. I can't stand it. Every time I look at the movie, I see that damn wig. And I was there at 3 a.m. when Lee Pulford, the stunt woman, was getting ready. They were putting her makeup on, putting the tattoo, and they didn't have a wig for her. They didn't have it. And I was going through her toolbox, pulling out all these junky wigs. And I said, I can't believe it. I cannot believe this. You waited till the last minute. She found something, threw it on her head, tried fussing with it so that it would look halfway decent. And I looked at Lee and I said, honey, you're going to have to sell this like crazy. And when you get out there, you're going to have to duck your head and just do it so explosively that no one's going to say, look at that terrible wig. But they did anyway. And she did a beautiful job. I mean, it was an amazing take. She had a one-take deal, just like I did Going Through the Glass. I had the squib gap.
Oh, the squib packs. Right,
yes,
to get shot.
I had control of that. It was one shot.
Oh, that's so stressful.
It was beyond. And they had, they saved my stuff until the last 2 weeks of the movie. Now, let's get into the psychological side of this, because this has happened to me my entire career. I don't know whether God is testing me, but it's kind of like, well, Joe, take this one. Take this hit. Let's see where we can destroy you with this one. We'll save you till the last. So you have to do everything on your own. Anyway, I wasn't in the poster either, if you happen to notice that.
And I mean, the sequence is so famous. So many people know that moment, know you from that movie. I'm sorry, that's frustrating. But honestly, when I found out that you had reimagined what the shot would have been if you were able to do the exotic dance with the snake, incredible. Please go check it out. It's on Joanna's YouTube.
Joanna, we, of course, love your performance as Rose Lindsay in the iconic Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I didn't really know this, but at the time of this movie, I guess it was judged a little harshly by critics, but it clearly has an iconic cult status now over the last 30 years. And, tons of actors have gone on to stardom, like yourself, Christina Applegate, David Duchovny, Josh Charles. So the question is really important. As a young person, I was obsessed with the way you told Sue Ellen, that the company's going under and you'll be out of a job while you fill your mouth with M&Ms. Was this in the script? Was this an actor's choice?
Yes, it was an actor's choice.
I love you so much. I watched it the other day and I was like, I remember this. This is like how I define womanhood in my brain as like a young person. The way you just like have M&Ms all in your mouth and you're just like continuing. It's beautiful.
Well, thank you. And, that was, Ms. Applegate was terrified to do that. It was her first real feature film. And I just felt like it was my duty to keep her laughing the whole time. So when we did that scene and it wasn't laid out like that. It was just supposed to take, a couple of M&Ms. I said, oh no, this girl's got to like be that close, like breaking open with guffaws, so that's how that happened.
It's special.
Can you describe the demographic of people who yell, "I'm right on top of that rose" to you on the street? Like, what is the breakdown?
Let's talk Turks and Caicos.
Oh my God, let's hear it. Yes.
About 15 years ago, and I'm working there doing a film, and this little girl comes running out of the rest. This is before the hurricanes, before it became the big deal with the ships coming in and all. This little tiny restaurant, this little girl comes running. Are you Rose? You're Rose. I'm right on top of that. And she just got hysterical. It's all over the place. I have baby boomers that say it to me on the street, and then young kids who are watching it because their parents watched it and they're watching it again. I haven't seen the movie in years. I should probably watch it again to see what's so attractive about it.
It's great on all fronts.
It holds up. Also, you and Christina have great chemistry, and there's like just a really nice dynamic between the two of you.
They're doing another one. They're redoing.
I heard it, and I'm not into it unless it's like the original cast.
Yeah, and I met the producers in New York, and I said, I'm going to be really unhappy if you don't write a great scene for me. Really unhappy. And you can do it. Anyway, they said, yep, cameo coming up.
It's in, like, on the books?
Not quite. But
okay.
Things are brewing.
Okay.
More than brewing.
Okay, I'm excited by this. Damien and I both grew up on Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead and Roger Rabbit, and it was exciting to sort of, I think as a kid, I didn't connect the dots because I think of you in Don't Tell Mom with that red wig, which is, to me, iconic. So it was exciting to connect the dots that was also you. But I have to say, we're both gay. I'm a lesbian. We were always scour actresses' credits to just see when they've played gay. And let me tell you, I texted Damien and I screamed because we learned that you played one half of a lesbian couple in the 1993 TV movie Other Mothers opposite Meredith Baxter. Right. Now, this was, of course, a big deal at the time because there weren't many examples of lesbians on screen. The censors had a lot to say about it. And Meredith was, of course, very famous for playing a very heterosexual mom on Family Ties. Did the two of you recognize the weight of that piece at that time?
I did. And I'll tell you something else. I knew that she was gay and she hadn't come out. And when we did the scenes together, I said, well, this is a real couple. Why can't we kiss each other? Because that's what couples do,
Right.
That's one of the sides of love. It's one of the perks. You get to be affectionate and kiss someone. And nope, they wouldn't let us do it. I was very proud of that.
It's good. I have to be honest, I hadn't seen it, so I was really excited to revisit it. And I saw, I sort of read the way that you had spoken about it in the press, but then going back and watching, it's so true. All of those 90s and honestly, even into the 2000s, it was like when there were gay people on screen, it would be like really awkward hugging, like long hugs that weren't even intimate. And you're like, this is supposed to take the place of like kissing or hand holding. It's so weird. It's depressing. But the two of you were so good, and I thought you had a really easy rapport with each other. I really liked it.
We came back later, actually, in another series, the series that starred Marley Matlin. I don't remember the name of it. And we played a couple again.
So wait, this is Switched at Birth, the ABC Family show with Leah Thompson?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you guys played a couple. Was that an in-joke between the two of you? Did like Meredith call that favor in and she was like, oh my God, I got to get Joanna, or vice versa? Like, how did that happen?
Kind of. Yes. She said, I want Joanna.
It was so cool. It was so cool. Also, yeah, because her family doesn't really know that she's gay, and she brings you to this holiday gathering, and they're like, oh, she's wearing cowboy boots now. Oh, you spent the last summer in Napa. It was great. Also because Meredith came out publicly in 2009, and this show was in 2015. So if the viewer is clued into any of those things, it was actually kind of beautiful to be able to see her do that role now as an out actress is just very cool.
Yep, I thought so too. We had some good laughs over that. I wonder if I'll ever get cast as a lesbian again.
Is that the only 2 times? Those were the 2 instances we found, and we really try to scour, but we do miss them sometimes.
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, we're ready to see it happen again. I need it to happen again.
Rose could be a late-in-life lesbian in the Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead sequel.
Think about it.
Right.
In our research, Joanna, something that we were really excited to find out was you had noted that Ava Gardner was your favorite actress, movie star of the day. And so revisiting Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which, of course is the 1988 live action meets animated film that takes place in the 40s in sort of this old Hollywood construct. We were wondering, did you imbue Dolores, the barkeep, with any Ava Gardner? Was that did that inform any of that character in particular?
Well, I tried to. I did think about her. I did my own makeup on that movie. I'm trying to remember the name, the head of the makeup department, Peter something. Lovely man, but I didn't think he understood my face. And so I hired a very famous from that era who had done Ava Gardner's makeup. I hired him to teach me how to do mine. So every day I was on that set doing my own makeup. And because Jessica Rabbit was going to be a redhead, they didn't want me being a redhead, so they dyed my hair brown. Mm-hmm. I had to adjust to that because I was a real redhead. And so it was dark brown and I'm going, oh my God. So the more I took in the thought of Ava Gardner, it took off my despair of not being a redhead in a movie.
Yeah.
I thought of how, she captured the screen. She was so beautiful. Just everything she did, her gestures, her walk, the way she wore clothes. And she had that great film body with a long waist. Mm-hmm. And everything was just beautifully in proportion. And of course, she was only mostly shot from the waist up. But anyway, she was quite the star to me. And so I tried to think about her and those actors in the 40s who were very different. They behaved very differently.
What do you think of Mickey Rooney in relation to Ava Gardner?
I never understood that.
Okay.
How could that ever happen? How could he get that gorgeous woman?
It's shocking.
Shocking.
There are rumors about him, and I guess maybe his penis was part of it, but also he just seemed a little bit like a lech, a small lech, but yeah, impressive, an impressive land.
Impressive. I think she was kind of taken in by that, by the love bombing that he did with her.
He probably overwhelmed her. He was like, okay, I'm going all in on this.
Yep, I think he did too, and I think he probably wanted to get down with her all the time. And I think that was something, as we read her history, that was something that she really enjoyed. That was a very big part of her life.
Joanna, in terms of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, so most of your scenes are with Bob Hoskins and then Roger and Jessica Rabbit. Was it a green screen? Was it exhausting trying to act with whatever? I know that it's so common now, but I feel like it was such a different thing then. Was it super hard to do?
It kind of was. So the guy that did the voice, he would come to the set every day in a rabbit outfit.
I forgot, yeah.
And
Jesus
get
Christ.
under the camera and throw his voice, and I'm just going, jeez, this is insanity. This is sheer insanity. So he would come out, hop around, and he was, anyway.
He was a lot?
Was Kathleen Turner also hunched down in front of the camera,
throwing her voice?
They didn't record her until well after the film was done.
Oh, my gosh.
And she was so perfect at that.
Yes.
Her voice is third of the package. It's a big deal. But she was brilliant. And so was Charles Fleischer. He's a genius anyway, Charlie is. But yes, because they would hold rubber rabbit in, and then you'd have to focus where the rabbit was. It'd take the rabbit away. And it wasn't, there were a lot of takes because there was so much going on. So you would do like 40 takes of one angle. That's a lot. That can be very exhausting.
You and Bob Hoskins,
Divine.
Divine.
Did you know that he was mafia?
No.
What?
Yeah.
No.
I believe it, though. It actually doesn't surprise me. I really just watched it, so I feel like he's faces, and I was like, he is something
He's
about
got
him.
something.
Some
right
swagger, and now say this, and it all clicks.
He was rough and tumble, I tell you. He went in. He got his first job. He went in with a friend of his to read, and his friend read, and he said, and his buddy came out and he said, you kind of fit the physical image of this guy. Why don't you just go in and try it? He said, yeah, sure. He got the part over his friend. And he truly was a genius. He had one of those, what do you call those memories that you just look at something and you...
Oh, a photographic
like a photographic memory, yeah.
Yeah. He was amazing.
Well,
I always liked, taller men in my life, but that was the first time I actually even considered being with a short guy. He has so many ways he makes up for that short deal going on. He's a powerful guy.
I was turned on by Bob Hoskins, and I'm just going to say I was like, oh, he is awakening something in me. So the mob thing, it makes sense now. I'm into it.
He was a real power broker, I'll tell you. Yeah, he was.
Oh my God, what a great reveal. Okay, Joanna Cassidy, we've reached the part of the show that we like to call the rapid fire. It's rapid for us. You can take as much time as you need. It just allows us to sort of throw you some non sequiturs.
Oh my God. Okay.
Take as much time as you need. Okay. Joanna, you've said you were one of the first people to roller skate in Venice Beach, which you did in the mid-'70s with a snake around your neck. Now, you co-starred in the 1976 Arnold Schwarzenegger bodybuilding movie Stay Hungry. Did you know him from Muscle Beach, from Venice? Was it just happenstance? Like, did your paths cross?
I lived in his apartment building. I was apartment 5.
Oh my God. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Very cool.
Were you pals? Were you chums? Or it was just like, oh yeah, I know Arnold. He lives in this. Yeah.
Oh, total pals. We met each other on the movie. We got along great. He thought I was very funny. I was looking for a place to live. He said, oh, I've got a building. Come on.
Oh my God.
Bring your kids.
Wait, that's okay. So he was a landlord. Wow. Okay.
He was my landlord.
Wow.
I love it.
Okay, Joanna, you worked with Wes Craven in Vampire in Brooklyn, John Carpenter in Ghost of Mars. You play a Vulcan on Star Trek Enterprise. You appear in Stephen King's The Tommyknockers, and you appear on the NBC series Heroes. All of this is to say that you have a strong following with sci-fi genre fan bases. What has been your weirdest fan interaction in all these years?
That's a good question.
I'm Blade Runner also, of course. I feel like you have a specific fan base that is...
I don't think anything was really weird in particular. I had people that tracked me down. That was a little weird. People would show up at my front door. Actually, I had a person 2 years ago show up here, which was not good. But
they just wanted to hang?
I really, I haven't had any bad times. I love my fans, and it's just when they get a little obsessed with me. There was one guy early on my first home that would write me massive amounts of writings of how much he was in love with me. And then he would do drawings and poems. And it was actually rather terrific. I wish I had saved it. It was so interesting. It was almost like prison writing. Well, and I used to get a lot of prisoners that wrote to me, too, that were huge fans. I think that's probably the weirdest. But hey,
what did you do do you call someone when someone shows up at your doorstep? I just can't imagine how that feels. That feels very scary.
No, I don't call anyone. I'm pretty tough to deal with.
Yeah.
If I don't want you there, I'll let you know.
Okay. Joanna, in your first appearance on the Johnny Carson show, you mentioned that you wear socks to bed. I found this a little troubling, and I wanted to know if it was something that you still practiced and why.
I did 3 weeks ago. I don't know what it is. My feet, my little toes just get so cold.
Okay.
Currently I'm not, I don't have anyone that I can rub, my little toes up against their calves. So I put on a pair of socks. Why not?
I have very cold feet, and it is also a problem for me, but I often feel like if I wear socks to bed, I feel like I'm baking potatoes like under my sheets. It's hard for me,
I understand that. They don't stay on all night. They're on and off
Right.
and on and off. Yeah, it's like,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Joanna, you starred as a travel photographer in the 1986 Harold Ramis comedy Club Paradise opposite Robin Williams, Andrea Martin, Eugene Levy, Rick Moranis, and of course Peter O'Toole. Was that set like a weird adult summer camp? And what kind of like vibe was Mr. O'Toole giving with that like group of like funny people?
I think he was very bored with everybody. I mean, truly, he just rolling his eyes, and he would sit on the set and he would just tell these fabulous stories. Peter was really one of the smartest people I've ever met. His stories were just beyond delicious. And we hung out a lot. But I know that one scene he did with Robin, it was a long scene, and he had a huge speech to make, and at the end, Robin had one line. Robin kept blowing the line. And he said, "All right, enough is enough now. I'm leaving the set. Call me when he's ready to perform."
Wow.
I mean, one line at the end of a monologue.
I mean,
yeah.
really, that's very intolerable. But it was like a big summer camp. I loved Andrea Martin. She and I just got along so well, and all the other people from that whole thing. And of course, Eugene had Dan Levy then was a little boy.
Aw.
And I used to get him, I'd say, "Listen, I'll take care of the kid. I'll babysit. You guys go off and have a great time. Go do some reggae or something. Go dancing. I'll take Danny," because that's my child's name too. And so Danny and I would go in the ocean, and I would chase him like the shark from Jaws.
That's amazing.
That's very sweet. Okay, Joanna, fuck, marry, kill the following sitcom experiences: Dudley, The Roller Girls, Buffalo Bill.
What do you want to know? Say it again.
So the game is fuck, marry, kill. So you have to fuck one of those experiences, marry one of those experiences, and kill the other experience.
That's what you said. I'm going, wow, that's... Okay. Give me
Just checking. So we've got Dudley, The Roller Girls, and Buffalo Bill.
Okay. Dudley, kill.
Okay. I want to know why, but keep going.
Roller Girls, fuck. Dabney, Coleman, Buffalo Bill, marry.
Was there a reason you got right to killing Dudley?
I did. That show was very... No one was in there together.
I see.
It was not a cohesive show. We weren't on the same page. And Dudley was terribly bored. But we would come to shooting night, and he and I would get into a thing where we would be laughing so hard we couldn't say our lines. So finally the director had to say to us, "Come on, children. We have a show to do." So I think, and I loved working on that show, but it just wasn't there.
Okay, so the Roller Girls, you obviously have great roller skating skills. You got that job. I was not familiar with the show, in all honesty. It was a thrill to discover. Was that a wild, did anybody get injured? Was that a wild experience?
Totally, because we skated with the LA T-Birds. They taught us a lot of stuff, and we went down a lot. But I didn't care. I loved that whole experience. I mean, and a couple people reminded me about roller skating on the Johnny Carson show. I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
Do you know how ridiculously, insanely difficult that is, where your nerves are like shooting through the brain and you come out and you're skating in between all the wires?
It's terrifying.
It was totally insane. But anyway, no, I'm not. I was a good skater, so.
Do you still skate? Do you still get on skates?
I haven't been on skates in a long time. I'm sure it would be fine, but in the day, we used to go down to Venice and chase in and out of people. I thought about that the other day. I thought, I still walk like I used to skate.
I love that.
Cutting around people and getting out of their way and not being held up. It's kind of nice.
Joanna, I didn't realize that your 1973 Smokey the Bear commercial was famous. So when I went to watch it, I was legitimately terrified. Be honest. Be honest. Did you study Smokey the Bear's cadence and intonation for this gig, or did you just shoot from the hip?
Shot from the hip.
It's so good. I didn't know what was happening. There's a whole Reddit thread about wait for the end. And it's like, what is going to happen? Oh God, this is so terrifying. It's wonderful.
It's so funny. I didn't realize it was so terrifying until I watched it.
It's just the way, look, listeners, pause, go watch it. It takes about 50 seconds. Come back. When you pull the mask off, the slow-mo of the mask folding off of your face is so jarring. And also it looks like your face is melting. It's very cool. I didn't know what to expect. And people were like, she's in that iconic Smokey the Bear commercial. And I thought, wow, phenomenal. Joanna, there are two men that I love. This is a podcast about women. We rarely talk about men, but I just have to put this on the record. I think both of them remind me of my father in some way, and you've worked with both of them at least twice. That's Dabney Coleman and Gene Hackman. So the question is, if you had only these two men's cell phone numbers in your phone and you fell down a well, which one of them would you call to help you out?
Gene.
Can you tell me why?
You know that they were roommates in New York.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And,
okay, wow.
One of Dabney's first movies, he played a skier. I don't remember the name of the movie. I'd have to go back. But yeah, Gene took off and Dabney didn't. He did in his own way, but it took longer. But Gene was already making big movies. And that's probably why, because I think that Dabney didn't get the acknowledgement that he would have liked. But they're very similar people, interestingly enough.
This is fascinating.
They're very similar. They both have a kind of a real huge determination to win. Huge. Very competitive, very good with the material, no mess up. They were real men, both of them.
Yeah. Joanna Cassidy, thank you so much for joining us on You Might Know Her From. This has been a total pleasure.
It was my pleasure, too. Great question. Great fun.
Damien, be honest. How turned on were you when you found out that Bob Hoskins was mafia?
Okay, actually, I'm so glad you said this. So one, I felt a little complicated because I know you, my best friend, are heightist, and you have a prejudice against people.
I'm not. All my favorite people are smaller than me. All of my favorite people are short.
And when Joanna was like, I never really gave time of day to somebody who was shorter, and you two tall gazelles.
I didn't. I said nothing. I said nothing. I did not laugh. I did not laugh. Oh, short men.
And I thought
I didn't.
And I thought, should I say, Joanna, I'm short? But I was like, you know what? No, because I am into Bob Hoskins now, and I felt it when I saw his burly chest in Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
You were texting me about it when we were watching.
I was fucking hot for him, and so when she was like, something was moved within me, or she was shifted when she saw Bob Hoskins, even in spite of his height, and I was like, well, you know what? So was I. So how could I be upset? Yeah, I was obviously turned on by the fact that he was in the mob or had mob ties. Also, was hot to learn that Gene Hackman and Dabney Coleman roomed together. I was like, humana.
I know, that's my kind of sexual energy. If I'm talking about men, those three men on this podcast today, look, Joanna has good taste. One thing that didn't make the cut is this incredible thing that Joanna Cassidy was actually up for Wonder Woman, did the screen test with the costume and all of the things. I think she's grateful in the end that it didn't go her way because Linda Carter got so, got so typecast after Wonder Woman. Look, Linda Carter does sing with a band now. That's what Linda Carter does. She sings with a very fancy band. But Joanna Cassidy has had tons and tons of work throughout the years in a variety of places. So I think it worked out in her favor. And I would just really recommend that if you're listening right now and you have not watched the Smokey the Bear commercial, please go watch it. It is about 42 seconds and it is a little slice of heaven. Okay, Damien, We've been doing this thing where we connect this week's guest to next week via a blind item. So I think that you are going to hit me with that high note. Is that right? Give it to me, baby.
Yep, baby. Okay, so Joanna starred on one of my favorite series ever, 6 Feet Under, with Peter Krause, or Peter Krause, depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, does anybody know how he pronounces his name? I say Krause.
Do you know Peter Krause? Okay, so Joanna was in 6 Feet Under with Peter Krause, or Krause, who currently stars on 911, the Ryan Murphy Fox series with Angela Bassett, who was in Black Panther with Lupita Nyong'o, who starred in Eclipsed on Broadway with next week's guest.
Very good. We both saw that production and we were both wowed by all of it, but particularly this person.
Wow, 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 as Kylie Minogue says.
Oh my God, the Minogues via Zoom. It's so sad. It's just so sad. Just don't have anybody. Have it be low rent, no special guests, no Zooms. It's just pathetic. You're like, oh my God, the Minogues are here. I was getting a glass of water and I was like, oh my God, they have special guests. And then you come back and it's like, oh my God, it's pre-recorded bullshit. Actually, I think the Australian guest judge is funny. Do you like him?
He's okay.
I think he's got some good one-liners.
You think he's got a joke writer over there in the corner?
He probably does. I had to Google him because I didn't know who he was. And I was like, you know what? You're not doing a bad job. Beautiful humans, beautiful people. Oh, I don't like Marilyn Manson anymore because he seems terrible, so I won't use that. Folks, come on now. You know what time it is. It's time to leave us a review on the Apple Podcast app. I know. You hear it every week. It's probably irritating, but guess what? It's the best thing you can do to help us boost up to the top of the charts so people can find us on the Apple Podcast app. 5 stars and a few words if you would be so kind, and just let us know that you do it and we'll send you something special.
And while you're at it, please follow us on social media. You can find me at Damian Bellino on all of the things, and you can find my friend here at Rodemanne. That's Rodemanne. It's her first name and her last name mixed together, and some people don't even know how to spell her last name because they're confused by it.
That's how you know you're good at social media. You Might Know Her From is produced by us. That's Ann Rodemanne and Damian Bellino. If you need to know how to spell my last name, it's actually Rodeman, and Damian Bellino. His name is spelled with an A, folks. There's a number of people in my orbit that still spell his name with an E, and I think that's the Irish way, and I think the A is the Italian way. So get it right, it's Damian with 2 A's.
We also want to thank our consultants at Grumpy Entertainment. That's Jason Judehill and Daniel Sears, and all of that excellent and crystal clear, precise editing is also by Daniel. Special thanks to Gang for all of the music you hear in every single episode of You Might Know Her From. Gang is from Philly. Gang is 3/4 all women, and you can download and stream their music wherever you listen to your music. Listen to Gang now.
Folks, look in the show notes. Go find that Smokey the Bear PSA commercial in the show notes right now because I spent a lot of time putting them there for you. So just go delve into those little tidbits because there's really a lot of joy to be had.
What do you think of Danny Minogue spelling her name Dannii while we're on the topic of spellings?
Did she choose it for herself?
Oh,
was
yeah.
it like her name was Danielle?
Yeah, her name's Danielle. I looked it up recently.
Oh, boy.
Maybe there was another Danny, Danni, in SAG.
And she had to be like, I've got to go with the 2 N's and the 2 I's. Is it really 2 N's? That's rough. That's rough.
I mean, 2 I's is also unusual, right? That's the more unusual part, right?
I remember Danny from Tila Tequila. I think spelled her name with 1 N and 1 I, and she's my gold standard.